there are still a number of people following me that have checked it out for themselves, either by going to the temple within, as pointed out in the scriptures worldwide, not only the Christian, but all scriptures tend to lead the person to the temple within. It's up to the individual to challenge and to definitely check things out physically.
Okay, next week we're going to find out what happened in that temple within, but coming back to your story, tell me again, what was it that, why is it that you left?
Okay, we have a marketplace in the world of people who claim to be the Illumined Master. There are scores of them in India. Darwin used to claim that. He may still claim it in a special way. There is a way of knowing the truth. Biblically, I found out that we have tools to find the truth. We mentioned Christ earlier. Let me just say briefly, there are 333 prophecies that predicted Christ's coming before he came, and the mathematical probability of those coming true are 1 to the number of electrons in the universe. So there is huge historical and supernatural evidence that makes Christ unique. I've already said there's a marketplace of these masters. It's up to people to discern with everything they have what the truth is.
All right, next week we're going to continue this conversation and talk about what happens in these out-of-body experiences. I hope that you'll join us. Welcome to our program. We're talking about the mystical experiences that people across our country and across the world are having. Spirit guides they talk about UFO experiences. There's something happening across the world. And tonight, let me come to you, Darwin, on this. And that is that Eckankar teaches the fact that a person can have this encounter with the mystical, with a spirit guide, with different helpers that are not in the natural plane, that will allow him to progress to God consciousness, which is the point that you're trying to reach. And you had these experiences going way back to the time when you were 3 years of age, and Paul Twitchell, who was the living Eckmaster before you, came to your bedside when you were 3 and gave you the out-of-body experiences. Tell us, what is an out-of-body experience like? What went on?
There's a variety of them, different levels. The astral projection is momentary. The mental travel is a little bit longer, but in soul...
Do people ever leave their brains behind when they travel?
They drop it.
Okay.
They learn how to drop You have an astral body along with the physical. And all of these sheaths or bodies protect soul while we're here. But it's utilizing soul and perfecting oneself in soul that is necessary. Even the scriptures speak of getting beyond oneself.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
One out-of-the-body experience that was probably less than enjoyable was that board meeting we were just talking about on August 7th, when you must have bilocated at least temporarily.
We were talking about, for the people that just tuned in this week.
Yeah, for the people looking at TV, Darwin, basically, it was a scene out of Julius Caesar. He was knifed by the present living Eckmaster, self-proclaimed Mahata, Harold Klemp. Remember that in history, Klemp and then Julius Caesar, Shakespeare. There are many great names. Now, my question would be this, and that is, after what happened to you, the ex-Mahata, with the present one, what do we do with this thing that you wrote in Your Right to Know? And this is about surrender. Now, surrender is a very common thing in these Eastern paths, and this is what you said. It right? Will demand more and more of the individual until it has all of him. The person will suffer, cry, complain, and resist all changes the Ek is making within him, but it's useless to struggle. Of course, the deepest secrets are going to be screaming out. Those who are willing to surrender and sacrifice themselves to the Mahata. And then later, Twitchell said something similar. Now, here's the question. If after your apparent surrender to the Ek, and apparently Harold's surrender to the Ek, we had this unpleasant misunderstanding in the board meeting, how do the poor cellas worldwide not think their omelets are going to get scrambled too? People are going to be asking that.
Who are the
In fact,
Chelas for all the people that don't know who Chelas are?
Chelas are simply followers. They're devotees.
Or
Disciples.
Students, yeah.
Neophyte. At that board meeting, to back up to that,
Sure.
to try to attempt to answer you,
Right.
The only words I had for Harold was, "I'm the best friend he'll ever have."
I read that in the account.
Other than
Apparently
that,
he's not your best friend now, then.
well, I forgave him shortly after that takeover.
Why can't he forgive you? What's
I
the
have
problem?
no idea.
Let me just say something
Go
that
ahead.
you wrote about reaping what you sow. Once, and this is your right to know, page 133, once any Ekis becomes a member of the second initiation and beyond, he cannot ever resign from Ek. If such persons ever attempt to resign or want to leave Ek for any purpose, they shall find it not easy to do so. They will run into terrible problems. Anyone having received the second initiation or greater and are still talking negatively, writing or criticizing other Ekis or the living Ek master carelessly and without thinking will pay for the deed. Now, this is you would call it karma. So we have a precedent here of both you and Harold not saying great things about each other.
I don't recall saying anything very negative about him. Ek is a term for spirit. Please understand, when we're talking about Ek, we're talking about spirit. That which flows through you, me, the flowers, and the trees. All life flows from one source. I believe, as most people, except I have learned from my own experiences, and I ask no one to believe what you hear from me, what you might read, or what you might see. I was taught that as a child. And it's true that there is a state of consciousness that is called the Mahanta, and it's beyond the God state, but that is something you can't really
Darwin,
bring
how do you know that?
from my own experience.
All right, but you know, what if you saw a green elephant dancing on its ear? Would you know that's true?
I'd say I'd
what if
be
someone
drunk.
slipped you LSD in a cocktail?
That's happened once in my life.
Okay.
You're basing many things that you're talking about as claims. Just like there's all kinds of people that are making claims, and the bottom line is experience.
That's
Now,
correct.
let me ask you this. In your writings, you talk about Cal as being an evil power. Watch out for the traps of Cal.
In the scriptures, it's spoken of as the devil.
All right, now, do you
One and
believe
the
there's an
same.
evil power then in the world?
It's an entity, yes.
How evil is that power?
It has its good side, and it's...
Would the power be
Negative
evil
side.
enough so that, being powerful, he could give you good experiences to deceive you?
If you know of him, you have to circumvent him.
But the fact is, if he's more powerful than we are and smarter than we are, if he is a part of God, as Eckankar teaches, okay, then how in the world is the student supposed to know that the experience he's getting is a good or a bad one?
As Jesus told his followers, "Come follow me," in a state of consciousness is what he meant. They tried to follow him physically, and
How do you know that Jesus meant that they should follow him in the way you're
it's a good
talking?
question. I cannot prove it to you. The state of consciousness that I'm talking about is in the pure positive God worlds, where there's no negativeness, beyond the worlds of duality.
But isn't it a good question to ask, if I'm going to invest my life in the pure positive God worlds, is there such a thing as a pure positive God world, or is there this evil power that has given me a picture of that to deceive me eternally?
Is possible?
And the question is, how did evil come into the universe? How did good come into the universe? How did we get here according to Eckankar? And I have to tell you that the sigmod is a little capricious and arbitrary, because basically the doors of heaven opened up and these guys fell out into the worlds below and drowned in the seas of tears, agony, and unhappiness, the imperishable spirits called souls, and they were there to wail in anguish on their knees. You see, the creation account, according to Eckankar, is that perfect souls were arbitrarily thrown out of the cockpit of heaven, or flushed, if we might use that analogy. And so they're down there. I'm quoting directly now. The sigmod had spoken and commanded that they go down into the depths of fire, mud and terror. The sigmod closed its eyes. Now, this isn't the compassion of Jesus. The wailing of the souls did not reach it, okay? The floor of heaven opened and all souls went tumbling out. It repeats that. This, to me, is not a philosophy with a great deal of hope. And certainly, according to what happened in that board meeting, there was not a great deal of hope that I called out of when the two perfect